Okay. So, Caleb Maupin, known quote-unquote socialist, fascist, or Maupin, or Malden, as I like to refer to him as, was talking to one of these greasy little broken-toothed Brit Bong or TERF cunts about why trans people bad or whatever. So let's take a listen to this highly intellectually substantial rhetoric that they have to offer us.
That your political organization has taken quite a stand on the transgenderism debate. Can you talk about that position?
First of all, Caleb Maupin frames this as a debate where you can have positions, not a fundamental issue about the rights of individuals and human beings. The fact of the matter is that bigotry isn't really an opinion. It's more of a feeling based. It's more feels. It's like, sure, like to think that ContraPoints is a man, or I'm a man, or like Caitlyn Jenner is a man, or whatever. Like technically, categorically speaking, that would be your opinion. It's just the fact that you're completely wrong that makes it so that like bigotry isn't really an opinion. It's because all of the actual evidence and like scientific consensus points to, number one, transgender people being valid, and number two, every single instance of like race science or biologically essentialist arguments is just completely debunked. And like TERF arguments, race realist arguments, homophobic arguments are completely intellectually laughed out of the room because they don't have the evidence on their side like the people who are in favor of universal human rights do. So Caleb Maupin framing this as a debate right off the bat is pretty fucking cringe.
Sure. I mean, essentially, our view is, and it's not about people. We're not against a trans person. It's the ideology. That's being
the transgender ideology. Spooky, crazy transgender ideology is gonna rape your daughter. Oh no.
Pushed on people that says you are what you think you are. Now, this is total idealism. Idealism in the
and then she starts talking about idealism?
Philosophical sense of the opposite of materialism. It's
first of all, it's not that simple. It's not that idealism is the opposite of materialism. Philosophical concepts don't really have opposites.
Says, I think, therefore I am. Whatever I think, that's reality.
This is a really reductive take on idealist philosophy.
Now, as a Marxist, we have to...
And that's also not what gender identity means.
Uphold the idea that, or the reality, that material reality is real and is the basis of our ideas. A Marxist says,
okay,
first there's reality, then our brain interprets reality and gets ideas.
Okay.
An idealist says,
so if there's reality, and I interpret my reality to be that I'm a woman, the material reality of my life is that I'm a woman.
No, first there's the idea, and then the idea produces reality.
That's not... That doesn't have anything to do with trans people.
Now, life teaches us that materialism is true. Materialism can be tested by...
Even though this woman doesn't really have that great of a grasp on the concept.
By science, by living. Idealism, is a human construct. It's what makes gods.
Okay.
Okay. This transgender ideology is pure idealism. It says
this is such a bungled, weird, jumbled up argument. Wait, I need, what?
This transgender ideology is pure idealism. It says, if I feel something, it's true.
That's not our position.
We've all got our own reality. We've all got our own way of... Now, of course, we all have our own feelings. Yes,
Yeah, we all have our interpretations of reality, of material... Yes, we all have our different interpretations of material reality. Like you just described with materialism. I'm not an idealist, philosophically. I don't think that my brain is projecting reality around me. I think my brain is interpreting reality around me. Why is she trying to connect that to trans people?
Dispute that, but your feelings are a reflection of something.
A reality! Maybe my feelings are a reflection of reality.
Your feelings come from somewhere.
A reality! The reality that I'm a woman.
We would say that material reality exists, and sexual differences between men and women exist. Then
sure, fine. Within the constructed concept of biological sex in our society, and the bimodal distribution that's involved in that, there are observable average differences between people who are considered male and female. No trans activist is denying this.
They're not imaginary. They're not a societal construct.
And yet, biological sex as well as gender remain societal constructs, even though there are observable realities connected to them. They're still constructs. They're still concepts. They're still human beings interpreting our realities. It's not idealism. It actually isn't.
Transgender ideologists, and I do want to keep making this clear, we're not talking about individuals.
I have a feeling... Gedtang? I have a feeling that this woman just kind of... Because you know what's underneath all TERFs? Is a sort of resentment and anger and almost like a jealousy of trans women and our existence, and a feeling that their gender identities as cis women is being attacked by people who were assigned male at birth being women, when in reality my existence, my womanhood does not diminish her womanhood, yet they feel like it does. And that creates a lot of psychological blockage about understanding the concept of gender in any good, substantial, coherent, inclusive, all-encompassing, universal, global way. But it's also how you can tell that cis people, even cis people, have gender identities. And the gender identity component of your gender is what determines your gender. It's the sole determiner of your gender. As I keep repeating, it's kind of one of my little phrases. And the reality of the matter is that trans women are women, and so are cis women. It's not idealist to say that I'm a woman, simply because man and woman don't mean what this woman thinks that they mean. She clearly seems to be lumping in gender with sex and conflating the two, which is against the scientific consensus. And she tries to sneak that little conflation by going off about idealism and materialism and trying to justify her bigotry by the fact that she's a Marxist, when in reality, trans people fit into the materialist conception of philosophy pretty fucking well, actually, because there's no essential idealist form of the genders. There is no man or woman. There, like, in the sense that what you think of when you think of a man or a woman doesn't exist. It's so therefore, like, it's not idealist to say that I'm a woman even though I was assigned male at birth. It's a deeper understanding of the material reality of my life. And it's interesting how she sort of just fails to understand and then fails to justify it. Like, sorry, but like if Marx were alive today, he would probably be for transgender rights. I hate to break it to you. Like, it's really cringy because, like, you can tell she doesn't get the distinction between sex and gender, and she doesn't get the social science analysis of identity characteristics. And if you don't get that, then to me it's like you're not really a Marxist, because like Marx was a precursor to sociology and the social sciences and influenced those studies heavily with his materialist conception of reality. And all of those areas of studies are the ones that promote our validity as trans people the most and seem to argue the best for a coherent universal understanding of the concepts of gender and sex entirely. So to basically say, which is what she's saying in this entire 2-minute clip, that if you're trans, you just think or if you're a trans woman, to be more specific, you just think you're a woman in your idealist mind, but the material reality is that you're a man, and that's just a conflation of sex and gender. That's bunk. That's old shit. That's society's progressed beyond these people and their antiquated opinions. So basically, like, she failed to substantiate her claim, and she failed to make an argument that really stood the test of this dumb bitch, let's say. It's actually kind of pathetic. It's actually sort of pathetic, in my opinion, but yeah, there is no solidarity with TERFs or bigots regardless of their class, besides the fact that, you know, I want everybody to have healthcare. I want everybody to have free education and access to it. I want everybody to have socialism, basically, regardless of their personal attitudes about me and my gender, etc., and things like that, because I just believe in human rights. And I think that's something that we need to make clear as radical leftists, that we believe in human rights universally for everyone. Because these people don't. Like, sure, she says it's not about people. Everybody lays the groundwork out like that when they're being bigoted. Everybody does this. The racists do this. White supremacists, I'm not racist, but is literally a meme. Like, People know. People have caught on to their bullshit. So it's time to start catching on the trans dimension of things as well, because that's the new line of attack for the cultural conservatives. And the thing about TERFs is that they are just cultural conservatives. Like, it's not really feminism, because they're leaving out a huge proportion of people who are objectively women, like as objectively as you can get. A trans woman is a woman just as much as a cis woman is a woman. Because all it means to be a gender is to be that gender. It's self-fulfilling. That's the nature of gender as a concept. That's how gender identity works. Or to be more specific is to identify with the gender. It's just those are the same thing. So it sounds like a circular argument, but it's actually not, because I can lay this out in a theoretical diagram, actually. And I put a lot of effort into it. It's been a long and hard journey of coming up with a theory of reality to justify my own existence, but I've done it. And I kind of wish I didn't have to do that, but that's the world that we live in as trans people, I guess. So catch me interpreting my material reality. But this is honestly disgusting. Like, the way that she just uses materialist philosophy to try to invalidate trans people is just honestly ridiculous. The material reality of a trans person is that they are the gender that they identify with. Because that's how gender works. Regardless of whatever biological, sex, etc. It's because that just doesn't have to do with it. That's just not the determining factor. They're two different things, and the scientific consensus is on the side of it's on the right side of that issue. So yeah, hopefully Caleb Maupin is having fun chumming it up with transphobes and Russian fascists, because the left wants nothing to do with him, so, and rightfully so.